Best of r/ Tales from Tech Support episode 97. Subscribe for edit videos daily. So it's been a while, about 6 months or so to be exact, since the last adventure in a series of workplace follies. Backstory: in the series we have an IT director that knows enough jargon to stay in their position while failing to secure the network with basic patching in posts 1 and 2 only to get audited in post. We have a firewall. Cast of characters: $me equals well yeah me and it dir equals, you guessed it, the IT director. Over the 4-ish years I spent working for this individual, many of our conversations either started or ended with the magic phrase "I've been doing this for 20 years. But just to flash back to the very beginning, I was brought in to refresh the network in the beginning, and the joke was it was put together with electrical tape and bubblegum. This not being too far from the truth. The previous network admin had never maintained the network. Half the switches had burned out ports or cards in them. The core network was a make of a 5-port hub off the modem that was plugged into the firewall, the core switch and some other odds and ends devices. My first task was to rebuild the network. What I wasn't told was prior to being hired, the $it went out and purchased about 2 dozen Cisco L2 switches about 4-5 months prior to be hooked up at all the locations and a new Metro E connection. My very first conversation with the $it went about like this. $me, you purchased layer 2 switches for a layer 3 Metro E network. $it. This is what I was told to buy. $me. By who? $it. Cisco. $me. Well, they told you wrong. You need layer 3 switches and not layer 2 access switches in order for this to work. $it. Well, I have been in IT for 20 years. I know what I am doing. Fast forward a few years through the follies of not patching servers, computers, switches, etc. Getting audited for security. About a month before I left, as usually, I was alerted to my annual review, given a draft to make comments, concerns, etc. Upon further review, the $it decided they were going to take on the reviews that particular year for some reason. In it was some of the usual notes of work, etc. But what struck me as odd from the onset were some more critical notes on failing to complete tasks, projects, failing to purchase equipment or services for tasks, projects. This sent me upon what I always live by: document everything, save every email, purchase order, etc., etc. In return, I sent a letter to the HR director outlining some of the issues, misrepresentations and just outright lies with documentation, emails, purchase orders, etc. To the response was, take this up with the $it dir. So the day rolled around for the face-to-face to finalize the annual review, and it went sorta like this. $me. So I have some issues with the review. You stated I failed to complete project X. Here is the documentation it was completed. You also stated I didn't purchase said products for project Y. Here is the purchase orders. And so on. $it dir. I've been doing this for over 20 years and I know how things are supposed to be done, and they weren't. $me. That's not true. Here is all the notes, documentation, purchase orders, etc. showing the work was in fact completed. Further, I've also been in IT for nearly 20 years on the front lines. Times have evolved. We don't do things like we used to do it. So in doing it the way you did things 20 years ago, it doesn't work like that any longer, and therefore projects are completed in a different fashion. For example, you wanted backups to only be done by tape. That's not safe to only have one backup medium, so when we started backing up to tape and retaining to disk you requested, we stopped doing that. I explained why that was a bad idea, and when we got hit by malware we were able to restore much faster from the disk in the middle of the night, and you changed your mind on our backup procedures. $it dir. Well, I've been doing this for 20 years and I like the way I do things. $me. By doing things you mean buying layer 2 switches when you needed layer 3, or still not implementation of encryption to databases, laptops, etc. when requested by the state auditor to do so. Or how about the time you spent $30,000 on a server in SharePoint when we operate as a non-profit can get SharePoint free of charge through O365. Following this conversation we agreed to disagree. I refused to sign my review and walked into the HR department and gave my notice. Nearly 18 months later the agency was hit by several more malware infections, failed an audit for not implementing encryption, still running Windows 7/2008, etc. Thank you. Next. Just had a first for our desk, so thought a short tale to commemorate it would be good. A user called our help desk to get assistance for a colleague of theirs who was having issues with their Outlook. I asked why the colleague hadn't called in. Turns out she was completely deaf and couldn't communicate at all via phone. Luckily, our standard remote access tool includes a chat menu, and I had a quick chat after connecting to isolate the problem. All in all, a pretty easy fix in terms of usage, but we almost entirely work through our phones, so it was definitely a first for the desk. She left a glowing review expressing how inclusive the service was, which gave me a nice warm feeling in this horrific crisis. Thank you. Next. After a long time here just lurking, I finally get to post something. This is going to be a very short story, so don't get too excited. So just a few moments ago, I was contacted by an acquaintance who had trouble setting up Google Meet because she was using Edge and it required Chrome. So she installed it, yet it still didn't work. So she contacted me. After asking what the problem was, she sent me a video of the problem. In this video you could clearly see that Edge was being used, despite having Chrome installed. Yep, just installing it won't cut it. You have to open Meet in Chrome. Thank you. Next. LTL, FTP, sorry for mobile etc. TL. Doctor, turns out unplugging and then replugging sometimes applies to more than just computers. The cast. $me a volunteer that was helping a local concert band and choir with lighting and sound. $Rainbow, another volunteer with the same skill set who's named after their eccentric hair. $band, a local concert band and choir who does community performances. $lights, a certain brand of lighting systems with a very proprietary controller. Venue, an old building that happens to have a large space that can be used as a concert hall. So this volunteer position entailed setting up a mixer and a plethora of various kinds of microphones as well as a $lights system owned by $band. I along with $Rainbow will normally set up, run, and then take everything down at $venue. So we start our normal setup routine. I usually handle sound and $Rainbow usually handles the $lights system. All seems normal, too normal, and has faith would have it. As I'm checking gain levels on the microphones I was dealing with, I hear a large crack followed by all of the portable $lights arrays turning off. Rainbow looks at me from on top of the chair where she was connecting the last unit with a face I can only describe as a deer in the headlights, you know, minus the lights. Fortunately, we quickly find the problem. Someone managed to knock the large extension cable out of $Venue's old and weak plugs. So we quickly get everything plugged back together and we breathe a sigh of relief. 1 hour till showtime. But, then $Rainbow calls me and says, hey $me, have a look at the lights. Confused I turn around and have my eyes seared faster than a TV dinner under an Atlas V rocket. After recovering briefly, I notice something odd with the $lights arrays. The RGB floodlights. They are out of sync. Now the thing is with the $light system is that its topology is really weird. The controller is actually powered by the $lights arrays its plug while also signaling back to the lights on the same XLR cable. Normally if you're using more than one $light array the signal coming back from the controller is then just mirrored to every other array that is daisy chained. Well, that wasn't the case when I had my eyeballs seared a moment ago. Enter stress troubleshooting, where you try everything except what you actually need to do. Rainbow and me tried manually changing light colors, reconnecting all the cables, restarting the $light arrays, but nothing seemed to work. No matter what we did, one of the lights looked like it was a unicorn that couldn't keep down its lunch. 20 minutes to showtime. Rainbow and me are at a loss and are just considering not using more than one light array. We didn't want a thought because Venue lights were pretty bad. Enter band conductor. He comes up and says, hey, I noticed you've been having some problems with the lights. Rainbow, yeah, we've tried everything. Band conductor then jokingly says, hey, have you guys tried turning it off and on again? I happened to be looking at the $light controller as he said, and that's when it hit me. We had never tried to reset the $light controller, as it had always been plugged into one set of $light arrays at a time while we were troubleshooting. We had never thought to completely unplug everything at once, which would have reset the controller. I tell $Rainbow we need to unplug all of the light arrays. $rainbow what? We can still use one of them. $me just trust me. 15 minutes to showtime. We get all of the lights together off and keep them off for a minute before restarting them, which, voila, lets them all sync up automatically. I get the funniest look as I explained to $rainbow that we never had actually reset the controller because it always stayed powered and never let its internal battery, which keeps its current state saved, die. The cause, you ask? It seems for some reason when the power went out to the controller, it got messed up and somehow was managing to output multiple signals simultaneously. Thank you. Next. Hi guys. New here. I work in park customer service, but this issue is about me providing service regarding IT related problems, so I thought it would be alright for me to share it here. If it's not appropriate, do direct me to a sub that fits this story better. I'm fluent in English, so do correct me if I've got any mistakes and I'm on the computer. Names are changed. The story is long, so bear with me. It happened last year, probably September/October. TLDR at the bottom. Me, OP. Sir, the male customer, the husband. Ma'am, the female customer, the wife. So working in customer service, apart from selling tickets and provide directions, I also assist customers in connecting to the public Wi-Fi accessible within the park, as well as customer tech problems regarding online bookings. The booth got windows and mics connected to both sides. A couple came to me with a hard copy of a QR code and a code number. No logo or any other details to identify what these codes are about. Me, ma'am, may I ask which website did you buy the tickets from? Ma'am, it's an online ticket. I was told to bring it to the service counter to redeem it. I frowned, but I told her to give me a few minutes. I deal with ticket redemptions from both the park's official website and third-party ones, so I checked the codes with all the EDCs we got and the cashier flew for status. I even used my own phone QR scanner. All of it doesn't recognize the codes at all. It came out as errors. So I went back to ask ma'am. Me, ma'am, where did this code come from? Ma'am, it came from the email sent from the online booking we made. Me, may I take a look at the email? Ma'am, no, we printed it out from the computer. You can't possibly tell us to bring the whole computer from home to show you the email. Me, ma'am, emails are accessible via mobile phones. We have free Wi-Fi here. If you'd like, I can help you in connection and then retrieve the email from the email app or browser. Ma'am, no, I've already told you that this came from the computer email. Why would it be on my phone? Me, ma'am, I cannot redeem any tickets if I don't know which website you bought these tickets from. Unless I can see a source or website, I can't aid you in redeeming anything. If I could at least see the source of these printed codes, I could instruct you accordingly on how to redeem them. You can access the emails from your phone. If you allow me, I can help you connect to the public Wi-Fi and then instruct you on how to go to your email browser or app, and then we can retrieve the particular email from there. Ma'am, loudly, are you deaf? I have already said we printed these codes from the computer. You can't possibly tell us to bring the whole computer down to show you that particular email. I had to tune the mic volume down for that, as I can even hear her through the window pigeonhole. Me, as I have said earlier, ma'am, the email can be retrieved from your phones, your smartphones. If you allow me, I can help you with it. Sir, are you stupid? How many times must we say it? This came from the computer email. Me, my apologies, sir, but these codes are not working with all the scanners we have. You have seen me trying to scan them in front of you. And if you can't provide any other details regarding these ticket bookings, I'm afraid you have to buy brand new ones from my counter to enter the park. Sir, what do you mean you can't redeem these tickets? We bought them online. It is instructed to redeem it from the counter using these codes. Me, sir, online can be a third-party website. If it is not the park's official website, we will not have any form of transaction or information record from any third-party website. Third-party websites usually send e-tickets to your email. If you can't show me any other form of transaction details about these, I'm unable to help you. Sir, we already said these codes came from the only email we received, from the computer. We won't and will never have it on our phones. Me, I kinda gave up. Sorry, sir, then I won't be able to help. I can help you with it from your phones, but if you insist that your phone will never have it, then you will need to purchase them again as these codes don't work with any of our scanners. Sir, we already said the email is from the computer, not our phones. Never mind. Fuck it, we'll buy 2 brand new ones. Waste our bloody time and money. To his wife, but I heard it. This is why idiots like her should be studying instead of working. Their brains are the trash. Can't even understand what people say. Note, I'm an IT student studying under the specialization on networking. I even had to study basic programming and web developing. This is just my part-time job. I processed new tickets for them since it's really not my problem that they can't understand. I can help with the problem. So they left with it afterwards. I did at least inform them to try to get a refund from the website they bought the tickets, so they don't have to spend too much. But whether they listened, I have no idea. I was still a newbie at that time and I thought I really could have helped with the situation, but my senior colleague who heard it all thought that I'm gonna break down and comforted me, saying that it's okay and I've tried my best to help with tech stupidity and was even amazed that I've got the patience to go through that. I wasn't so affected by it since I constantly reminded myself of work professionalism. But after that interaction, I was about to either cry from insults or laugh at their stupidity. Couldn't decide cause I got too dumbfounded. TLDR, customers came with printed codes from an email, insisted that it's from the computer and will never be on the phone. I've tried to explain how to retrieve the email from the phone, but they didn't listen. Ends up buying brand new tickets from my counter after they hurled their insults and I gave up trying. Thank you. Next. Work in second line support for a medium-sized MSP. Due to COVID-19 I am helping cover the phones for our first line team when I get this gem of a phone call. $me is me. Canadian dollars is customer. $me. Good morning, you're through, insert company name. My name is Bathroom Door. How can I help? Canadian dollars. Hi, I'm such and such from Ziz company. I'm not able to open any documents in my OneDrive. $me. Recognizes regular customer. Okay, not a problem. Are there any error messages coming up on your screen when you try and open these files? Canadian dollars. Only a small box, but I didn't read it before I closed it. $me. Okay, not a problem. I'll join your PC remotely and we can take a look. Connected to PC and tried to open files that were not working. Error message on screen says cannot open these files without OneDrive running. Please open OneDrive to be able to view these files. Fast at the moment. Started OneDrive and opened the document. Canadian dollars. Wow, how did you do that? This always happens when IT Connected starts working. Advise the customer on the importance of error message and how to resolve the issue next time. TLDR. User didn't read error message. Spent 15 minutes on hold to IT for a 1-button click resolution. Thank you. Next. I have a friend that works in IT and we often talk about the dumbest tickets he's gotten. This one is our mutual favorite. At the time he was working for a major apparel/retail chain. A ticket comes in about midday marked with priority status. The ticket simply reads we can't process any sales. He calls the store and speaks with the manager who explains that their POS registers are down and they have a line starting to stack up. He tries to access their network remotely but can't get through. He figures that the internet service provider for the mall must have had an outage and asks her to try using the public Wi-Fi to confirm his suspicion. She does, but it works. His next course of action is to send her to the local server to reboot it. She does and the problem still isn't resolved. He informs her that the problem won't be able to be handled remotely and that he will have to send one of their contractors to the store to look into it. Before they hang up, she adds the side note, by the way, we also have this really old computer in the back that wasn't being used, so I had one of my staff pack it up. Would you like us to send it anywhere specific or should we just throw it out? The dots connect and the I don't want to live on this planet anymore meme plays through his head. It turns out she had one of her staff unplug and pack up the server, thinking it was a relic from a bygone age, and the computer she restarted was a desktop in her office. They had to tell the people in line that they would not be able to make any sales that day and had to close the store, because the server had been unplugged without being shut down properly. They had lost a few transactions that were being processed at the time it was unplugged, and it took the IT department hours to wire it all back in and get the terminals functioning properly again. I suspect they weren't in any hurry to get this manager back onto the network.